What is your biggest non-academic, non-work related accomplishment? Running the table at pool where after the other person broke, and I sank every single one of my balls in the 8 ball in one turn. I'm not usually good at pool. A stranger came up to me, said it was one of the greatest things he's ever seen. I think about this often, lol. Probably not the biggest, but I flat out slapped this random man on the street after he grabbed my ass. My hand shook for almost the rest of the day, but I was so proud of myself. My stepkids removed the step portion of the label by asking me to adopt them as adults. They did the research to make sure it was doable, and I did all the paperwork on my own, and now I'm dad of 3 rather than dad of 1. Managed to strike out the gym teacher during a softball match. My old band got played on a local radio station a few times. Not that exciting, but I'm still pretty proud, winning a blue ribbon at a state fair for my strawberry jam. My husband loves to brag about it, and it makes me feel pretty special when he does. An artist at a major animation studio saw my fan art and shared it on their Tumblr. They commented on how funny they thought it was. That was years ago, but it felt great. Lost over 100 pounds to do an Ironman triathlon and also compete and place in a bodybuilding competition. Growing veggies and herbs without killing them and making pickles / jam / infused butter with the results. So that's pretty cool, I guess. Edit. Thanks for the awesome feedback and good luck to you all in your own efforts. Close bracket. Adopted my little sister, 16, when I was 21 after my father murdered my mother, helped her finish school, and kept a room over her head till she was old enough to move out on her own. Taught myself to crochet. I'm not terrible at it. When I was a kid, I saw a guy passed out drunk on the side of the road. Neither of my parents noticed, so I said something. We went back, and my dad went to check on him. It was around 20 degrees Fahrenheit out, and he was wearing a thin jacket and pajama pants. My dad, who is a paramedic, told me I quite possibly saved his life that night. Edit. Worded weirdly. I saw a video on Adam Savage's Tested YouTube channel all about tintype photography. I got obsessed with light and lenses and photosensitive chemicals, and decided I wanted to build a working large format camera to help me understand how it all works. So I did. No plans, no prior knowledge. Just researched what all the components were, and designed and made them one by one. Saved a lady from drowning at the Outer Banks about 10 years ago. I stood up for myself with my family and set boundaries. Then I actually kept them. I had a very abusive and traumatic childhood. Standing up for myself when I was a child always resulted in pain of some kind. This was a huge step for me. I moved to a foreign country where I knew only one person and didn't speak the language and managed to independently make it, and now I call it home. I won the first Swedish nationals in indoor wingsuit flying. It's also so far the only nationals, since the only tunnel is in Sweden, which makes it even sweeter. To be fair, there wasn't a lot of competition, only one other team that were close to us, but I guess being part of the sport early on is part of the accomplishment. My stroke recovery. I can walk, use my left hand, and I can cook again. Things aren't perfect, but considering that I couldn't pick my head off of the pillow the day after last Christmas, I'm doing fantastic. I'm 5 years clean from heroin at 25 years old. I was an addict from a young age, started with opioids at 16, and by the time I was 19 I was a junkie. Edit. Thanks for all the love, guys. If you know somebody struggling with addiction, please tell them to be safe. I will recommend seeing a psychiatrist for combination therapy with a counselor as a way to ease into rehabilitation. I volunteer for an animal rescue. Last year, I vaccinated just under 600 cats and kittens. My only qualification is that I also shot a lot of drugs into myself in the 1970s. Went from living in the homeless shelter to owning the homeless shelter to help other people get back on their feet like I did. Learned and can play piano pretty well. I saved over 100 cats in my lifetime, and I feel happy thinking about it. I ate a triple burrito in one sitting 10 years ago, for which I won a t-shirt. I still wear the shirt from time to time. I recently squatted 495 pounds. Felt like my soul was leaving my body. I came across an overturned vehicle and some kids screaming driving from Oklahoma to California. Dead of night, winter, middle of nowhere. People weren't stopping but I did. My ex-wife didn't want to stop, but I snapped at her. Turns out a girl had been thrown from a vehicle. Her legs were bent the wrong direction. Applied a makeshift tourniquet and got some blankets from my U-Haul. The truck driver stopped and helped me. He called for paramedics and I helped them carry her over the snow/ice. I'm almost 1.5 years sober from drinking a bottle of whiskey a day. Semicolon. Thanks everyone for your support. One time when I was a kid, I was chasing my sister around the house with a wiffle ball bat, you know, like how kids do. She took off up the stairs to the second floor and tried to lock herself in the bathroom at the top of the stairs. As she was slamming the door shut, I threw the wiffle ball bat like a javelin, and it blocked the door from closing. This happened 30 years ago, and it was literally the most athletic I have ever felt in my life, until I ran a mile non-stop as a 44-year-old guy. Relearned how to walk after my brain injury. I somehow survived 2018 despite having up to 70 seizures a day. I didn't even have a stroke. I'm seriously hard to kill, and it makes me proud. Edit. Yes, I have tried cannabis and CBD oil. Edit again. Please, for the love of God, people, stop asking me if I've tried the ketogenic diet or essential oils as well. I can only take so much. I made some friends this last year. I held in a fart for like 3 hours, and when I let it rip it lasted like 17 seconds. I photographed every train station on the Cleveland subway. There are nearly 50, and I'm currently nearly halfway through photographing every station on the Chicago L. My photography is probably my proudest accomplishment, since it's really the one thing I've done completely on my own terms. Edit. For those who want to see my photos, they're all available at. Finally accepted my appearance. The reduced amount of self-depreciating comments feels like such a relief. I feel we don't see the heaviness of them until we stop. Losing 110 pounds. Haven't reached fit. Don't really want to start exercising to try, but better than obese, I guess. I walked and hitchhiked across the United States to escape the abusive community I grew up in, and rebuilt my life across a continent, against all odds, when by all respects I should have been dead by now, whether killed at the hands of someone in that old community, or by starvation or exposure. Now I'm in a position where I have a good job, I'm relatively stable, began writing again, and I'm going to start making games again. Maybe even paint again, if I can get therapy, to undo the damage that was done that took away my ability to, so there's that. My D&D world. I've been running games in it, and expanding it for the past 8 years, and there is still so much of it to explore. I convinced someone that I was interesting enough to date, and then marry 10 years in, and he still has no clue he's been duped. Getting out of bed in the morning. Since getting my driver's license I always drove automatic. I live in Europe, few years passed, and I needed to go to UK. I rented a car with manual, so I learned how to drive manual in UK. For me it's impressive as I hadn't too much of experience driving stick and zero experience whatsoever on driving other side of the road. So yeah, achievement unlocked / new skill acquired, D.